We are live. Hello, guys. Happy Thursday. This is Mary Fulton with Mary Fulton Fit, and we have a special guest tonight, Ninja Steph, or Nurse Stephanie, and she's going to be talking about heart health. So this is a beginning of our series for the month of February. I know we look like crazy aliens, and we're really excited to be here with you guys, but we're going to talk about heart health for the rest of the month. So every Thursday, tune in 4 p.m. live with Ninja Steph, Nurse Stephanie, okay? And she's going to be sharing with you guys lots of different things. So make sure you're giving us hearts and thumbs up. And if you have questions, please put them in the chat box. We are on 2 platforms at the same time, so please know that. Hi, Donna. We're on Facebook over here. Woo, woo. We're on Instagram over here. Yeah, yeah. So we're going to do it, and let's get started. And I'm going to tag people while she's going to just take the floor, girl. Let's go.
Hi, everybody. So we're going to have a very serious, obviously, talk about our hearts today.
Yay.
No, we're going to just talk about the heart and how it works. Okay, this is Heart Health 101. And we kind of had a little session this morning with Mary's mom. And it's great. So now we all kind of understand what's going on. So she can kind of help me when I'm explaining things. And,
yes. I'll give you guys just a quick little thing. So my mom, she wasn't feeling so well the other night. She got a little dizzy, saw some like black lines, and so I called the paramedics. I was really scared, didn't know what was going on. Everything checked out okay, but she's got to, you know, look to see what's going on. So this morning, this beautiful angel, who is a cardiac nurse, I'm like, hey, can you tell us, can you take her blood pressure? And it's so funny because we actually planned this already, that she's going to be doing that today with you guys. But she did it with my mom, and did it with my mom, and was able to, you know, teach my mom about her blood pressure and how to look at the numbers and everything. So that's what she's going to do with you today.
Yes.
So let's go.
Yay. Okay, so your heart is obviously very important. You have to love your heart. And sometimes you're taking care of people that are older than you. And so, you know, in instances where you're like, oh my God, what's going on? So we're going to talk about what's going on. So we know what the words are. We know when things are low and things are high. When doctors use certain words or nurses use certain words, what does that mean? Okay, so we're going to start with the basics. So your heart is a really nice, beautiful muscle, okay? A very strong muscle. Mary loves muscles, okay? So we're trying to make our muscles strong. So we're going to talk about how to make our heart strong and how it works. Okay, so what's the sound that a heart makes?
What kind of sound does a heart make?
Yeah.
Boom, 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 right?
Right. Like
I said a boom, boom, boom. What?
Yeah. Okay, so boom, boom, right? So you hear 2 booms, right? That's blood pressure, okay? So
blood pressure.
The first boom is the squeeze.
Okay. The squeeze.
How hard your heart has to squeeze to get the blood out of the tubes, okay. Which is all of your circulatory system, to your brain, to your hands, to your feet, to your organs, okay? And it pushes that blood out everywhere, every single time, that squeeze, okay? That first number is the squeeze.
The squeeze, number. Okay.
And in that blood is where the oxygen is, okay?
Okay.
The red blood cells, which are in the blood, carry the oxygen, okay? So if your heart is not squeezing hard enough, your oxygen level, like Mary's mom, could be a little low. You could feel a little dizzy when you stand up, okay? Because that blood is not going to your head fast enough. Okay, so the second number is the fill. Okay,
so the fill, so squeeze.
And fill.
You guys should do this with us because it's going to help you understand those numbers, the top number and the bottom number of your blood pressure, right?
So some people have a problem with the squeeze, and some people have a problem with the fill, okay? So when it has to squeeze through those tubes, think about plumbing, okay? So if there's gunk in the tubes, sometimes plumbing has to have more pressure, right, to get through all that stuff in the tubes. But there's no symptoms for that.
Oh, okay.
There's no symptoms for when your heart is squeezing really hard.
Oh,
okay. Not really. You don't. Low, yeah, when you stand up you feel a little dizzy. But high, it's just squeezing really hard and it's getting through whatever it has to get through. And sometimes, you know, that's cholesterol, that's plaque in the tubes. It could be hereditary. It has nothing to do necessarily with your size or diet. But that's why it's really important to get your blood work done as well. Your annual health check is free. Okay, I do it every year, usually around the same time, like April or May.
Okay.
And I just go in and I say, I'm here for my wellness check, and they no copay. They send you to blood work.
Yes.
And then you get kind of your basics. So you know you know how your cholesterol is, you know how your oxygen carrying capacity of your red blood cells are. The blood work tells us a lot. And me and Mary's mom went and got blood work today. Well, I didn't. But
so she was an angel as well, because life has been pretty crazy over here. And I mean, really an angel sent by God, I feel like. And she told my mom, you know what, let me take you. I'll take you right now. And I was like, what? And my mom went with her. She doesn't know her, but she could sense that you're such a beautiful person. And so my mom went with her and did that while I was taking care of the kids and everything else. And so that really blessed my family. So
it was a wellness check. We need it. We need it.
Yep.
We need it. It tells us a lot. And we'll talk about that throughout the month, okay? Like, what do those numbers mean, right? We're going to learn. We're going to teach ourselves. Okay, so the top number is kind of higher than the bottom number, right? Because it's kind of like, so boom, boom, boom.
Good. Ooh, making those hearts pump.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what are those numbers? What do they mean? What is numbers? Okay. So I asked Mary this, she had no idea. Anybody out there? Can anybody give
You mean
us,
like what are the numbers that are good numbers?
Yeah, what is the basic, like, let's just say like the flat line number for blood pressure? What is it? Does anybody have any idea out there? Numbers?
Anybody know what the top number should be? Like a baseline? And the bottom number?
What is
I mean, actually,
normal?
after you asked me, I was like, oh yeah, 120. Oh,
we got Tanya.
Yes, 120 over 80.
Close. We got a lot of
she meant
good.
80.
You guys, wow. I'm very impressed because most people have
120 over 70.
No idea. Okay, so just the flat basic line is actually 120 over 80. Okay, this is just a standard. Obviously, for people that are older, it's a little bit different. Their baseline is a little bit different. Your baseline might be a little bit different, but this is what doctors, nurses, healthcare professionals go by. This is the standard. Just know these, because this is the squeeze and this is the fill.
Yep.
Okay?
So squeeze and fill. Now you know. So squeeze and fill. All right, awesome. Are you going to do mine?
I am. So we're going to talk about these numbers, okay? So sometimes your blood pressure, like when you get like nervous and stuff, goes up, and that's normal. But you shouldn't, when you're just kind of chilling like this, it shouldn't be like 140s or anything like that, right? So we're going to see what Mary's baseline is. And I'm going to tell you some tricks when you do your blood pressure.
She is hypertension. Okay.
So hyper, these are good words, okay, means higher. Means it's squeezing harder to get through. Hypo means it's lower. So that's Mary's mom, is lower. She's hypotensive, okay? Those are just words that we use.
Hypertensive or hypo?
You could say low blood pressure. You could say high blood pressure. You could say hypertensive or hypotensive. Mm-hmm. Okay, so those are the vocabularies that we use. But good job guessing. Awesome. So I have an old school blood pressure cuff and stethoscope, like nursing school style. So some tricks are, you want to put your arm at a 90-degree angle when you're relaxing. The cuff should be in the right placement, and I'll tell you about that. Yeah, we'll do this side. Okay, her feet are perfectly flat. They're not crossed. They're not cross-legged. Because the circulation, right? You want it to be able to, it's pushing the blood. So we want to see what the baseline is, okay?
By the way, I want to reference to somebody said, is this being recorded? Yes, on both platforms. So it will be saved, and it'll be on there for you guys to reference and record and take notes at any time, okay? It'll stay up there. And then also wanted to tell you guys, if you guys have questions, too. I see you guys, we would definitely get to those questions at the end. So she said, I am low and I get lightheaded. Okay, so let's find out more about that as we're going there. So I'm actually more
and she's excited because you know how Mary is. So we'll see.
We'll see because now I'm getting hyper.
Is, and we might.
I'm trying to relax. I'm trying to relax.
Afterwards.
Hold on. How do I relax?
We make sure that it's right above, cuff placement is important. It shouldn't be like really low. It shouldn't be really high. It shouldn't have a shirt on. To get an accurate baseline.
You want me to take my top off?
No, this part is what I need clear. So, okay, arms down.
Oh, sorry.
Okay,
so I gotta relax.
This one is old school, so I gotta stick it in
place. Deep breaths, Mary. Kyla, hold on.
I know, for Mary to relax for like a full minute, we'll see.
I'm trying. Normally, I am more, I'm gonna relax, okay? I'm relaxing. Look.
Okay, so we're gonna see. I'm gonna pump her up. Pump
I usually have lower blood pressure, but I don't know. I think I'm more like my mom. So let's see. I'm kind of nervous right now though, because you're all watching me and my crazy antennas.
And you shouldn't talk. Ooh, it's nice. She has a great heart. It's tight, so that's why you gotta breathe through it. It's crazy. Hers is identical to her mom's. It's 112. Remember this morning your mom's 112. Yours was like 112/76.
Wow, see,
So it's her
like
baseline.
my mom. My middle name is Fernanda, so you know, it makes sense. I really am MFF. Like
So
for reals.
That is Mary's baseline. So she's, you know, that's Mary's number.
So I'm what, 114 over what?
Like 114/76, 78. That's
Okay.
about normal.
Okay.
You were calm. You were doing your thing.
I was calm.
Okay.
Did I seem calm? I wonder what it's like when I do a Tabata.
But see, some people might just be sitting there and then they get their numbers and it's like 140. And you're like, oh. Then you're like, let's redo it. And it's about the same. Okay. So you wouldn't feel that squeeze. Imagine your heart is beating between 60 and 100 times per minute. So let's talk about the heart and the muscle. Okay, the squeeze and the
I'll
fill.
hold this.
So there's this thing called Starling's Law. I loved it when I was in nursing school. I was fascinated. I loved learning. Oh my God, I love learning. So
She's so cute. I love
Starling's Law means like it's the heart is a muscle, right? So think about a rubber band. So you take a rubber band and you snap it. You take a rubber band, you snap it. Ooh, I like how these bands snap. So what happens when you take your hair tie and you know, snap it over and over with your hair, and then all of a sudden you're at the gym and it breaks, right? So the same thing can happen with your heart. Your heart's not going to break, but those muscle fibers stretch out and they don't want to contract as well, okay?
Okay.
So that happens over time. So if we have high blood pressure and it's just in our genetics, it's just in our family history, you know, sometimes doctors will recommend that you take a blood pressure medication. Okay, most people will be like, oh, I don't want to take it. I feel fine. Well, you can't feel that inside, and your heart's working way harder than it has to. So let's say you have high blood pressure in your 40s or 50s or 60s, and you want to live a really long life, and let's say you get nervous or sometimes and your heart's squeezing even faster, you know, like maybe 110 or something, your heart is squeezing with that pressure every single beat. Okay, so know that. So when I explain that to my patients, they're like, why didn't anybody tell me that? Like, I'm going to take my medicine now, you know, because when that heart is squeezing through those tubes, there's a risk for like whatever gunk is in there can break off. Have you guys ever heard of that? When like a clot breaks off into the bloodstream, it can go to the brain. And that's what causes a stroke. Okay. That clot goes all the way up into the brain and it blocks the oxygen to the brain. And so some people have symptoms of like, you know, part of their face is like
an aneurysm? Or no,
no, a little bit different.
So it's a stroke.
Stroke. Okay. Yeah, stroke is when there's a blockage to the brain. Either it could be, most of the time, like 80%, it's a clot. That broke off somewhere in your circulatory system and it went to the brain. And now it's blocking oxygen to some side and has symptoms. Numbness, tingling, you know, slurred speech. There's all kinds of symptoms, and we can talk about that later if you guys are interested in knowing more about stroke. Or there's a rare chance that high blood pressure could be so high that it actually squeezes the blood into your brain and causes a hemorrhagic, which means blood stroke in the brain. Okay.
I'm starting to get scared, Steph. Can you make us feel
okay,
better?
But I'm just telling you, that's how the heart works, right? So we don't want it to have to squeeze as harder than it has to, okay? So know your baseline, know these numbers for your family, for your friends.
Yeah.
You know, if you go to CVS, hopefully they're still allowing us to, you know, slip our arms in the blood pressure cuff. So I had a physiology class where we were required to take our blood pressure once a week and write down something like what we were doing. Like, ate a good meal, worked out, you know, it's like super stressed out, barely made it, you know, so that way you know where your baseline is.
We're still here.
It might go like a little high, a little low certain days, like, oh my God, I was so stressed out. And it was just a couple points above, or maybe, you know, you're in your 125s that day, but you'll see your variations, and that is where you lie, okay? But if it's a little bit high, you need to let your doctors or, you know, your primary care provider just know, and then, you know, they can go for there. And then they'll make sure that your heart is not working harder than it has to, okay? So that is heart health, the basics, Okay. Do you guys
And
have any questions?
I wanted to share one thing real quick. So for my mom, she recommended that we buy like a small one, like not this fancy one, but you know, you can get them at the store.
Yeah, this one's old. This is like
I like the old school
emergency,
one.
like in my trunk of my car, like let me go.
But then, you know, she's going to try to measure like every day and then at night and kind of like she said, it's almost like taking data, like a science experiment, right? So like what foods make you feel this way or that way? Same thing here. When is her blood pressure too low? Or maybe that's when she's not feeling well, when she feels like, oh, I don't feel good. I feel so tired. What's wrong with me?
Right.
And then she can take her blood pressure and start to see her patterns, right?
Yeah, it could be 90 over 60 or something. And oh, wow, it was much lower, you know, than it was earlier. And it could just be like, you know, there's not enough fluid because your blood is mostly water.
Yeah, so if you're dehydrated, which is something that definitely is going on with my mom. She's not listening to me, but that's okay. Anyways, but let's get back to what you were saying.
Exactly. So blood, you know, the pressure, it needs to have fluid. And if you're dehydrated, your blood pressure is also going to be lower than normal as well. And so sometimes, like someone was saying, when they stood up, they felt a little dizzy, you know, because that oxygen is not getting to the brain and the oxygen is in the blood. Okay, fluid is what we need to put in the blood. So we got to treat our hearts and our bodies well and kind of know like, like I remember hearing about this blood pressure thing and people feeling dizzy and, you know, what do I do? What do I need to know? But that's just the basics of the heart. So Starling, just remember Starling, you know, we don't want to have that heart work harder than it has to all of our lives. So we just have to make sure we're loving our heart as much as possible.
Yep, love your heart.
And know our baseline, you know what these words mean. And if you have any questions,
yes, we have
let
some
us know.
Here. So right now we're going to take some questions for Nurse Steph. On this iPad over here, I'm going to have to sneak a charger because I'm at 5% and I don't want to lose you guys because I know you guys have questions for her. So, and just know that for the next 4 weeks of February, she's going to be here with us every Thursday at 4. And this is just Heart Health 101. So keep asking questions. We have different focuses for every week. We will talk about food. We'll talk about heart rate, right?
We'll talk about labs, like cholesterol,
and all of those things.
What those things mean. Because like it's like being like Murder, She Wrote, Angela Lansbury, when you get the blood results.
She's going to do that for
my mom. Then you really can know what's going on. I'm actually anemic as well. So my oxygen carrying capacity to my brain is lower than normal as well. And I can explain that to you guys too.
We can do that.
I didn't know. I was just like, I was a night nurse for 3 years. And I just thought, I'm just tired.
Right.
And then like a night after I'd eat, my hands would get cold. My feet would get cold because all the blood would go to my stomach. And I would be cold. And I was never cold before like that. I mean, I have plenty.
My mom's always cold. That might be a thing too.
So, especially after you eat, because then the blood goes to your belly. So
I don't want to lose that question.
Okay,
Okay, so we're going to start over here because I see Jackie. It says, how can you overcome low blood pressure? And then we'll take the question over here, okay? Keep throwing them up there.
Are you going to charge that one?
I'm going to stick the charger because we got 5%.
Okay, so low blood pressure. How can you overcome it?
Up a little bit. Sorry. Keep staying on. Stay on.
First of all, I would love to know, are you monitoring it? And a lot of the times my first question to people are you taking any type of medication? Because if you are, and all of a sudden it's just still low, that dose needs to be adjusted. So at work, sometimes like if our patients are really low, we have parameters. Like if someone's blood pressure is under 100, we're gonna bolus them with fluid to get that more blood. Okay, more fluid, more blood. So then you have a higher pressure.
Go get me my tripod stand,
and if
please.
it's too high, sometimes we have to do,
from the garage,
we can do a med, or we'll do a push to make sure that our patient's blood pressure is lower. So we check their blood pressure twice a shift in a 12-hour shift. So if I come on at 7 in the morning, we're checking at 8, and we're also checking at 4 before dinner. Okay, so kind of just seeing the variations throughout the day. So sometimes you might be low when you wake up, or maybe you're low later in the day because you didn't drink enough water. Maybe you're drinking too much coffee, like some of us.
So we need more water for sure. Okay, and now you have a question on this side. Kyla is saying, what is the highest number you've seen?
Well, because I'm also a cardiac and stroke nurse, 200s. That's when we start worrying and we start pushing. And sometimes it's every 15 minutes. I've had to do, this is acute care, like every 5 minutes sometimes to get somebody's
I may have figured out a way to keep it up.
Awesome.
Keep going. Just keep going. Just
so,
ignore this.
Yes, I've seen very high numbers, and that is really high for a risk of stroke. So that's when we start worrying. That's why we just need to know our baseline. Like I don't want to worry about stroke, but it does happen. So, and it has a lot to do with blood pressure.
Okay, cool. Yeah. All right. I just what is it? MacGyvered this whole situation right here.
I know.
I'm like MacGyver.
It's so fun here. It's like a fun house. It really is.
Oh, thanks, Steph. Okay, so then she said, did you answer? So Jackie said, I get checked annually, no meds.
Oh, yay, Jackie. Yay.
And then we have another right there. It says, I have
great.
PAT heart condition.
A PAT. Okay, so sometimes people have problems with the rhythm. Okay, so we could talk about rhythm. That's a little bit more in depth. It's a little bit more complicated. But Mary is normal sinus rhythm right now. I listen to her heart. I listen to her mom's heart. It's that nice boom, boom, no arrhythmias. Okay, so sometimes people have a condition you've heard of, like maybe AFib. There's blocks sometimes. And sometimes those can be reversed and sometimes they can't and they're medically managed. So we could talk about that a little bit more in depth. And you can always send me personal messages too. Connect with me through Facebook or Instagram. And I'm happy to, if you have any specific questions that are like really, because EKG stuff is like rhythms, it's hard. So.
Okay, what other questions do we have out there?
Oh yeah, she's got it. There's
Here, go ahead and read it.
Atrial tachycardia. Tachycardia means fast.
Okay.
And then it's in the atrium. Okay, you have the atrium and the ventricles.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a specific condition for that person with arrhythmia. It means a heart rhythm that is not normal sinus rhythm. A means non.
Okay.
And rhythmia is rhythm.
Okay.
Non-rhythm.
Non-rhythm.
Non-rhythm, okay. Not normal sinus rhythm. That's what those mean. Arrhythmias. Okay, that's an arrhythmia.
Any other questions you guys have about blood pressure or the heart? Because we've got Ninja Steph here, Nurse Steph. She's a ninja and a nurse. Double N. Yes, very fast heart rate at all times.
All the time. See, and that's also very important when you are monitoring your blood pressure, is to also, with those machines, it will tell you your rate. Okay, so same thing, we'll do Mary's rate right now, okay? So that one's easy. You can check yourself all the time. Have you guys, you remember that when like the doctors are like, oh my God. So you can feel the boom, boom.
Boom, boom. I said a boom, boom, boom.
So, way up. So for somebody that has a normal sinus rhythm, if somebody was in more like in our unit, we would probably do a full minute, but you could always do 30 seconds times 2, or you can do a full minute.
A full minute.
Okay, so we're going to do for Mary, we're just going to do 30 seconds times 2. And you guys can do this at home very easily. Okay, so you just start a clock.
I said a boom, boom, boom. How accurate are the watches to measure the rate? Such a great question over here, Kyla. We'll get to a question in just a moment. She's counting. Should I make my heart pump up a little faster?
It did.
Oh, it did. Because I started doing a little bit of this.
So hers was 30 times 2, 60. And an average, right between the middle, it's like usually 60 to 100. Okay, 60 to 80, 60 to 100. Some people run a little bit on the higher side. We're like active and excited and running around. So, but I mean, if you're kind of just sitting around, it shouldn't be like 120 or, because that's a lot of beat.
Rest, yeah.
That's a lot of squeezing, and you can't feel that inside. So we definitely need to talk about our heart rate. And I think these things are, I'm sure some of these are more accurate than others, and how tight you have it against, your little boom boom. Because it is. It's on, an area where it's supposed to catch that.
I'll put it on. How about that? We'll try it.
Yeah. What does it say for you right now? Actually, that's a great question. What does mine say?
It's measuring right now.
Mine,
I'll relax again.
Lordy.
Oh, did you get high?
I think I'm talking too much.
Well, you're excited right now because
in the
mine says I'm 97.
Yeah, I'm in the 90s.
But she counted 60.
So, and it's on the top part of your wrist, you know, like usually when
look, wait. 63. Boom! She
So when
got
we talk, like when she was talking, it went up, but then I cut it off at the 30. If I would have let her keep going the full
It's now
minute,
at 60.
probably would have been higher. So they're,
okay.
for the most part, I mean, you can check it. You could even count against yourself and then check your watch at the same time to see how accurate you feel. I mean, I have a Fitbit. She has an Apple. I'm not sure about, you know, all the specifications on that, but it's a great idea.
But it's probably a good idea, like, to do it, you know, do it in the morning at rest.
It'll help.
And then during your workouts, you know, if you're doing, you know, like a HIIT versus a strength, see where your heart rate's at, see how you're doing. Same thing with the blood pressure.
And you're strengthening that muscle. Remember, you're strengthening that muscle. And it should be high when you're working out. So don't worry about those. We're talking about just chilling. Okay.
So what about when you're in a cardio workout? What should be, what's too high?
Yeah.
Does that depend on the age too? Or
I'm sure it does. Well, I think we're going to talk about that.
We
heart
are.
rate,
We
right?
are. Let's not do that. We'll keep that for the next time.
Ooh,
so right
keep
here
it
we said my
hanging.
blood pressure is usually 90 over 60.
Mm-hmm.
My sleeping heart rate is 100 BPM.
Ooh, maybe you have some great dreams. I don't know.
What are you doing in your sleep, don't you?
You know, because there's REM, and REM is when your brain is active as if it was awake.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be during that time period. Maybe you're at 100 when you're at REM, you know, and you're excited and you're actually thinking how you would think when you're awake. All that stuff is fascinating. Science of sleep. So that's cool. 90 over 60, hun, that's your baseline. But you have to be careful because you're a little bit hypotensive. And, you know, when you stand up, you have to stand up slowly. And so that's called orthostatic hypotension. Yeah, so if you're sitting and it's normal, and actually if you're lying, you take it, the paramedics take it lying, sitting, and standing, right? So it should be
all
the
different
lowest,
ones.
yeah. Like low,
You're
a little bit
welcome.
higher, and then higher when you stand up because the blood has to push all the way through your body. But if it's low and you stand up, you know, that oxygen doesn't have that pressure to get to your head and you can get a little dizzy. So our patients that, you know, have chronic hypotensiveness, we make sure that they, you know, get up very slowly and wait and see if they're dizzy before they take a step. Okay? Like, do not do anything if you stand up and you feel a little bit dizzy, you just sit right back down because your brain needs that oxygen. That's what it's telling you. Dizziness, oxygen. Okay?
Cool,
Any
yeah.
other cool questions?
Any
I
other
love
questions you
this.
guys have? This is so
So
fun. And I just love these little hearts you draw. We're gonna wear them every week. Make sure you show up in pink and red or purple.
Yay.
And then
Join
Roya
us.
said, I like this topic. Thanks. You're welcome, Roya. Every Thursday, we're going to be talking on more topics about being heart healthy for this month. So please don't miss out. Put it in your calendar. Please mark in notifications. Yes to Mary Fulton Fit. So you get our notifications when we go live. And we will go live on both.
We just want you to be empowered and strong. We love you, and we want to make sure you understand what this means. What does this mean? You know, once you're empowered with this information, you know what it means, and you could teach other people. You know, if someone says something, you go, "Hey, have you checked your blood pressure, maybe?"
Yeah.
And then, do you take any meds? Do you have a cardiologist? Because sometimes those meds just need to be adjusted. So I think it was Donna that said she was 90 over 60. I would be curious to know if she takes any meds. And if so, she probably just needs to revisit her cardiologist because sometimes you'll take meds for years and be feeling great and not go back. And the doctor has no idea what your new baseline is after, you know, doing it for a certain amount of time. Put it in my calendar. Yay.
Yay, put it in my calendar. Thank you for this. By the way, I have an MFF workout on schedule for tomorrow. Yes.
Yay.
We should all stop and take our heart rate tomorrow. Why don't we do that? Ninja Steph?
Yeah, we could do it.
That'll be fun. Oh, we got another question over here. Blood pressure is the silent killer, is what my doctor said. So this is a wonderful, guys.
I had a patient, I was a baby nurse 4 years ago. He was my only patient, I believe, that had hemorrhagic stroke, and half of his side, left side, was completely flaccid. He could not use it at all, could not move it. And I told him it's all the nerves, and it starts here because I also have nerve damage in my spine and in my leg. And I could tell you guys a little bit about that too. That's why I really relate to my stroke patients. And all of a sudden waking up one day and not being able to use your body is completely traumatizing. But I taught myself how to walk again. I used to run 3 miles before work, you know, like I told him, you know, he wanted to thank me. I said, one day I want you to walk in here, and that would be the best gift of my life. And less than a year later, he walked in
I love
the hospital.
That's beautiful.
I know. We're still very good friends. Yeah.
That's an awesome heart story.
All of this stuff we can overcome. And he tells his story, you know, and that's how we learn. We learn just by talking about it.
Yeah, learn from each other, right? We learn from our family members, our grandma, great-grandma, grandpa, everybody, right? We got to listen to our elders.
we you know, we love growing old. It's great because we meet all these amazing people who have all these amazing experiences. So we just want to make sure we're taking care of our parents, our grandparents, you know, teach our kids, because even, you know, I was doing my rotation and I had a teenager who he was hypertensive. He had high blood pressure.
But see, how does a teenager
and he
know
was
how
so
to
cute, and I explained it to him, and I kept retaking it for him, and I was explaining the heart just like we did, and he was like to his sister, like, oh my God, I need to stop drinking soda. And like, you know, he started thinking about like, I shouldn't have that kind of pressure right now. And he was an athlete, but he was thinking about his diet and, you know, maybe some family history there. And at least it made him aware of what it means at a very young age. And I felt so awesome. Like, yay. Like, even this, you know, 15-year-old got it. Like, that's so cool. He can watch out for himself.
Really cool.
And his parents and his grandparents, and teach them too.
Yeah. And knowledge is power, right? And you know, a lot of times we look at the outside of the body. Oh, it's fit. It's not fit. But like, it's so much more about our heart, right? Mind, body, soul, our heart, and taking care of our heart. And so I'm going to encourage you guys, make sure you're drinking your water.
Yes. Yeah.
Drinking your water, but your veggies too. Well, we're going to be talking more about that. She's going to talk about the health. But remember, you know, that's why we got to get all those veggies, and they have water in them, and it's good for us. And those are the things we want to feel. And if you are having a lot of salty to-go foods, remember that that's more sodium, and then you need to drink more water on top of that. You're going to get dehydrated. And like you said earlier, you know, if we don't have enough liquid, then we can't pump the blood sufficiently through the body.
That is, I was trying to think of like, what is the main source of the house that keeps it going? I guess it's love, right? Like your family and like just that unity, right? Is that machine. But that machine, you know, it's pumping the oxygen to the cells and through the lungs, so it's connected to the lungs, and it's all connected, one system. But that's the pump. Okay, so we have to watch out for that.
We have to take care of our heart in so many ways, right? Yeah, so we're so happy you guys joined us tonight. Thanks for all the questions. This was so fun. Let's give her a round of applause.
Yay. And if you can, if you've never had one before, you know, call your primary care provider office and ask for your wellness check. It's the beginning of the year. It'd be a good time to do it. And I do it every year just because I'm super curious now that I know what it means. And I can track myself on those levels and know where my baseline is and know where my genetics lie. And, you know, we could talk about hemoglobin A1C for diabetes. That's the big number to see what's, you know, so if you want to, get your labs done. And then, you know, by the end of the month, we could talk about that stuff too.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You know, because then you can just be like, with your labs, like, what does this mean? And we could talk about that stuff, okay?
Yeah. So mark your calendars for every Thursday at 4 with Ninja Steph. And also wanted to encourage you guys, if you want to pump your heart a little bit more, we still have the February cardio challenge. It's just 10 to 15 minutes of cardio. We've got some dance, we've got some jump roping, we've got some different things mixed in there. So you guys can still sign up on my page, or sorry, on my shop, and get your tanker tea and get into the group. And then also join my platform if you want, like endless workouts. I've got over 200 in there. You can do them live or on demand. And I've got a special code for you, MFF Love. So MFF Love for a discount code for you guys. And thanks so much for your support and being here. We love you guys. Stronger together, everybody. Mind, body, and soul. God bless you guys. See you tomorrow.